Well, this video is going to be my Throwback Thursday, which is really my video where I go back 2 years ago and look at my favorites video for September of 2012 and go through those favorites and see if those items are still my favorite, if something else has replaced it, if the replacement is a drugstore item or a high-end item, just kind of that kind of a video. I first saw Marnie from Miss Gold Girl doing this video, and then I think Kristen Game also does this as well. But so pretty much the theme for September's favorites videos was that I was just streamlining getting ready in the mornings because I had really early morning classes then. I think I was getting up at 7 a.m. Or no, I had to be at the college at 7 a.m. So, I mean, it was a pain in the butt to begin with. But anyway, so the first item was the Garnier Skin Renew BB Cream. That's just the BB cream in kind of like the tan bottle from the drugstore. I think it runs about $10 or something. That was a favorite then. That was the very first BB cream that I had ever tried. But after testing out a few of them, my new current favorite from the drugstore is the Pond's Luminous Finish BB cream. Now, I know that I think this is being discontinued actually. So if you want it, I highly suggest going to, say, Walmart or Target and checking out to see if they still have this. I just think that this sits beautifully on the skin, and especially for anyone with regular, normal, or dry skin especially. I have dry skin, so this is absolutely fabulous on the skin. Let's see here. The next item I mentioned was a Tarte product. This is the Tarte Maracuja Creaseless Concealer. This was in, I think this was in light. Now, this is still the exact same thing. It looks like I've used a whole bunch out of here, but when you get these initially, there is a lot of air. I want to say probably at least a third of this product is full of air, and then you squeeze all the air out and you really don't have very much in here. This isn't a favorite like I mentioned then. Let's see if it'll show up. When you apply it, I was saying in the video in 2012 that I had to apply this underneath my foundation because when you put it on, see how shiny that finishes? It never dries down. It stays shiny like that. So it just looks really weird on the skin. So my new favorite under eye concealer, and this has been a favorite since probably the middle of last year. I was just getting samples of it then, and then I got a gift for Christmas of the Makeup Forever Full Cover Extreme Camouflage Cream. This is just their waterproof concealer. This is in shade number 3. Just for reference, I'm like an NW15, NW20 from MAC, and I can put this on underneath my foundation. I can put it on over foundation. I can put it on any spots on the face, underneath the eyes. It doesn't crease on me. This stuff is fabulous. This is my holy grail concealer, and I will not be purchasing any other concealers in the future other than this from a high-end brand. Next up was also another Tarte product. This was the Tarte Park Avenue Princess Bronzer. This is an entirely different one. Since that video, I have went through a full size of this bronzer. I've finished up one of the little deluxe sample sizes that are about this big, and I'm now currently working on another deluxe sample size, but when I'm done with that, I can move on to this. This is just absolutely the perfect bronzer. I would say medium skin tones, light skin tones. It's gorgeous. It does have a little bit of shimmer, but I think that that kind of helps it blend out a little bit better, a little easier, and it just looks beautiful as a contour or an all-over bronzing effect with the skin. It's a gorgeous product, and I still love this 2 days later, or 2 years later, I still love this. Next up is the NYC Cheat Glow Blush in the shade Westside Wine. This is what this looks like. This is the exact same product from 2 years ago. I just barely made up my mind. I had this in a little project where I wanted to finish this up by the end of 2014. I'm not going to do that. This was only, I think it's about $2 at the drugstore, $2.50. I would much rather focus my energy on a blush that I have that is high-end because I spent a lot more money on it. And while I do love this shade, I do have some duplicates in the drugstore version as well as high-end version because this is a shade that I generally tend to reach for. So in replace of this, it's a beautiful shade. I think this is great for fall. Again, this is in West Side Wine. Some other blushes that I think I like just a little bit better. They blend better, they're silkier, they're more of a buttery consistency, and they're still pigmented. This NYC blush, you can only build it to a certain extent and then it doesn't get any darker. With some of these other blushes, you can start off with just a little bit if you just want a little bit of color, or you can build it up and it actually builds up to a deeper shade. Some of my favorite ones in the past, I don't know, 6 months or so are the Jordana blushes. These are $1.99 at the drugstore. I found mine at Kmart. My Walgreens doesn't sell the blushes for Jordana, but this one right here, this one is quite similar. This is in Rose Silk. So it's, you know, kind of the same blush shade. And then another one, which is one of my favorites, is Touch of Pink. And this one as well is a little bit similar. It seems to have a little bit more peach in this one right here. I had mentioned my MAC Paint Pot in Nubile. It was kind of like a pinky flesh tone shade. And it was about a satiny finish, had a little bit, it was just a little bit pinker. Something that's slightly comparable that isn't as expensive as a MAC Paint Pot is one of the color tattoos from Maybelline. This one's in the shade Creamy Beige. This is from their new leather collection that they've just released. This is along the same lines. This is just a tiny bit darker. This does have kind of like a pink beige undertone to it. Let me blend it out just a little bit. So as you can see right there, I mean, I find that these work just as well as a MAC Paint Pot. I don't feel the need to go and spend $20 on a paint pot when these are $5.50 from Walmart. And I have a whole huge collection of them and I love every single one of them. Moving on, I was mentioning the Urban Decay 24/7 Zero eyeliner. Now, some of the Urban Decay eyeliners, I can put them over the top of a black gel liner. I did that today. I had like a purple one and I put it over the top of a black gel liner that kind of has a shiny finish when it dries down. When you put the 24/7 Urban Decay liners over the top of that, it kind of leaves it with a matte finish. That was super confusing. Anyway, something that I prefer over the Zero liner, which is just a black one, is the Jordana 12-Hour Made to Last Liquid Eyeliner Pencil. This one is in the shade Black Point. These are so black, so pigmented, and so creamy. Not only that, do they stay on the upper lash line, I can put this in my waterline at 10 a.m. and at freaking 7 p.m. it's still in my waterline. So I love these things. They're super cheap. These, again, these are $1.99 at my Walgreens. I think some places I've heard that they're $2.99, but they're extremely cheap, not expensive, not a lot of money that you have to pay out for them. Then I was mentioning my brows. I was talking about the Maybelline medium brown shade of the Define a Brow, and that is the pencils. They're like a plastic pencil and they're green, and then they have the little comb on the one end of it. The ones that I prefer over those are the Maybelline Master Shape deep brown pencils. Now this is what I prefer, and instead of the little comb it has a spoolie, so that's why I like it a little bit better. It just blends it out so there's not all those harsh lines, and I just prefer this pencil over the green ones. I mentioned that I like to use the Anastasia dark brown, brunette and dark brown brow powder duo. This is the same container, but I have hit pan since that last video 2 years ago. I don't use this religiously. I switch out my brow products so I don't get bored of them, but I will use this lighter shade in the front part of my brows when I want them a little bit lighter, and I usually all the time fill my tail end of my brows in with this darker shade. Sometimes I'll use the darker shade with this little paintbrush to go underneath and fill in anything that, you know, looks a little sparse. So I use an actual paintbrush to fill in my brows, and this is what I used 2 years ago. I actually mentioned it because it wasn't an eyeliner pencil, like an angled one. Moving on, I talked about the Maybelline Baby Lips in Grapevine. I loved that one just because it was really moisturizing, it wasn't a lot of color, and it was just kind of like a grape tint to your lips, a really shiny one. And I have two other options. I finished up the Baby Lips, obviously, so the first option that I have along the same color family and that would do the same thing is the Clinique Chubby Stick Moisturizing Lip Color Balm, and this one is in the shade Voluptuous Violet. So that's what these look like. Let me give you a little swatch of this. So obviously you can just put a little bit down and have a really sheer wash of color, or you can kind of build them up to a certain extent. That's a couple swipes on my hand, but it just leaves a nice purpley look to your lips, and it is shiny, it is moisturizing because it is a balm. The other option is also from Clinique. This is a different version of that. This is the Chubby Stick Baby Tint Moisturizing Lip Color Balm, and this one is in Flowering Freesia. Freesia? Freesia. I can never say that right. Anyway, this one has a little bit less pigment, and it's more of just a moisturizing, I don't know if this is even going to pull, if you're even going to be able to see this. So that is it right there. Very light sheer tints. That's why they're called baby tints. And I really do like these Clinique lip products from the Chubby Stick line. And then I mentioned something slightly embarrassing at the time. My mother had given this to me because she can't wear a lot of perfumes because the majority of them just give her a headache. It doesn't matter what it is. So she gave me her bottle of the Celine Dion perfume, and you know what? I used up the bottle that I had then, and I actually went out and purchased a bigger bottle. That's how much I like this perfume. It's kind of weird because I never thought that I would enjoy a Celine Dion fragrance, but hey. So I looked it up because I really like this kind of distinct scent. It is Lily of the Valley, orange, sandalwood, mimosa, and musk. That's kind of the notes that are in here, and I just love it. I think this is great for fall. Oh, it's sweet, but it's, I don't know, I just love it. Along the streamlining, getting ready in the morning topic, I mentioned that I would French braid my hair in 2 French braids down the back of my head. I would sleep on it. I mean, I would French braid it while it was wet, obviously. I would sleep on it, wake up in the morning, kind of take it out, run my fingers through it, and then I would spray in the Paul Mitchell Soft Style The Shine Spray On Polish Spray Brilliance Spray. That's a weird name. It's just their kind of like a shine mist. And I still have the same bottle. This stuff lasts forever. You really don't need a lot. I'm only halfway finished with this, just a little bit over halfway, and I still love it. I use it probably maybe once a week or something, so I love this stuff. Fabulous, and it smells delicious too. And then along the same lines, while my hair was all crumpy and, you know, wavy and stuff, I like to put in some fabric headbands, and to this day, I just did this last week actually, so I'm still doing this, and I've picked up a different, you know, collection of these fabric headbands that kind of bunch in the back, and then, you know, my favorite ones are the ones that tie and they have like a little knot in the front. I love that. Holy cow, screaming child outside. Those are my favorites from September of 2012, and I thank you guys so much for watching.